All right, g'day, hi, and welcome. Okay, so I got my paint thing here. Got a finished book down there. Finished that book. Gonna be starting these books. Finish up those library books. Then I got a big pile over there. Just did a video on writing free books. I'm gonna be starting. Now, when do I start them? Well, tomorrow's the 1st of January. Can't believe that. Where did the year go? So I'll probably start tomorrow, but I have to see if I have anything I can write. I do have one big book there that I can write on, but the problem is I don't want to use that one. But I might have another journal down there that I can write on, and if I can, I will. So the idea is simple. Basically, write out a book, do the book, and yeah, I've got a really unique way of doing the book anyway. So I talked about that in the last video, so that's should be pretty good. But anyway, so I guess this will be this week in World Crazy. Okay, guys, I did what? When did I do my Boxing Day? I did the 2026 predictions. Okay, I made a lot of predictions, guys. We're not into 2026 yet. Okay. We're going to war with Venezuela. Check. Done. Probably going to be going to war with Iran. Not done yet. Okay. U.S. military going to be used as a pirate navy. Done. Check. There's going to be like large name assassination attempts. Putin's house got drone strike. Check. And it just keeps, and we're going to go to war with Iran in probably a couple of weeks. We're attacking Venezuela. It's like, oh my god, it's like I hate it so much when I get on like, and it's not even like it's like we're not even in 2026 yet. It's already happened. Oh, the Epstein files are not going to go away, and somebody's going to leak them unredacted, whether on purpose or accident. Check. Now that one, in all fairness, I can't really claim because I made the video once. I didn't upload it, but I'd already made that prediction, and then I made the video again, then uploaded it, and it happened the day I uploaded it. So it's like, okay, that was a gray area, but I was predicting that too, and again. So far I got 4 predictions for 2026 accomplished out of the predictions. And we're not even into 2026 yet. We still got a day to go. And like I said, the first 3 months of 2026 is just going to make your head, like everything that's happened to us in the past 10 years that's been absolutely shit show crazy is going to happen in the first 2 months. It's like, it's going to be fucking crazy. So anyway, I'm at the store, neighboring town. So I had to go do a little job this morning, check on a client's place. So I did that, dropped the pop bottles off, and while I was at it, got myself a nice bottle of Johnnie Walker, right? I'll open that in a couple of days. I'll take a little mix out of it or whatever. Build up my liquor cabinet for 2026. Anyway, long story short, I get in there and I drop off the pop bottles and buy everything. And the lady's in there. She's got the little one with her. She's 7 now. I can't believe that. She has a toque similar to mine, except for hers is pink. And I got the glass on, cute little button nose, little cute little kids, And I'm like, "How you doing?" She's like, "Good." And I had my toque on, so she put her toque on, and hers is pink. And I said, "Is pink your favorite color?" She's like, "Yeah, it's my favorite color." So anyway, we start shooting the shit because I haven't talked to her in a while, and she's like, "So what do you think of all the politics stuff going on? Is it going to get any better?" And I just start laughing. I'm just like, "Oh God, no. We're at the beginning of it." I mean, it's like the past 10 years is not like, "Oh my God, we're halfway through." No, guys, this is going to go on for 80 to 100 years. The rest of our natural lives is just going to be completely fucking upside down. You got to learn to live around it, not take it so personally. And the only way out is through. Live your life. Laugh at the chaos of it all. That's all you can do. So I started talking. Yeah, no, things are gonna get worse, and then I started explaining, like, like the food supply. I said, look, just put food away because yes, the Americans are gonna get hit worst with the food supply thing. I cannot find any positive data for farmers in the U.S. almost anywhere. Like there's if some farmers have broke even at best. I would say probably 80 to 90% of farmers lost between $200 and $400 per acre this year. Like it's just fucking nightmare levels. We're talking complete because of Wall Street. People are going to starve to death, including those fuckers on Wall Street, through the futures contracts. Right. This is what's killing off the farmers is the stakeholder capitalists, the investor class, not the builder class, the investor class. They're killing everybody. You know what I mean? Because they don't build anything. They just do this, get returns on my investment, and they do that. You have to cut somebody who gets cut down, the farmer, right? So the farmers take the losses. The cattle, they're losing about $200 average to $300 per head of cattle. Like I mean, or whatever it was. It's just ridiculous. The U.S. cattle supply is shrinking. The Canadian one went up by like 0.8%. But the thing is Canadians rely on U.S. farmers during the winter, particularly for livestock, right? Hay, straw, wheat, that type of thing, feed, right? So that's going to have consequences here, no matter which way we go. The thing is Canada, the upside though is like our vegetables and stuff like that. We should be fine with that stuff. It doesn't mean we won't have shortages in food inflation here. Yes, it's going to be everywhere. It's just we'll have shortages in inflation. They're going to have inflation and unobtainium, meaning, even if you have, you're a multi-millionaire, you're going to go into the grocery store and there's nothing there. Yeah, I mean, like the food, it's going to be unobtainium. It's going to be food that didn't get grown or didn't make it to market. This is probably has a lot to do with attacking Venezuelan boats and shit like that. The U.S. pirate navy, basically. It has nothing to do with fentanyl and drug dealers and women and children democracy. Anybody that believes that stupidity at this stage of the game, well, it's like, I got a bridge to sell you. You know what I mean? Like, no, Trump is the bad guy. It's clear as day now. He's no different than any of the other guys. There's no difference between Obama, Biden, or Trump, or Clinton, or Bush. They all work for the same banksters. They all work for Israel. You know what I mean? One way or the other. Like Netanyahu and Trump are planning the next Iranian strike, which I think is going to be, like I predicted, extremely wake-up call for Americans when they see how much power the Iranians can yield when they take the gloves off. They will control the entire region of the Middle East. There's no doubt about that. I know there's still people out there think like the U.S. military is invincible. They're not. They're not even close to invincible. Warfare. Okay, we got World War I warfare with basically futuristic drone warfare and trench warfare in Ukraine. I mean, you've got Russians riding and doing assaults on horseback. Just because the tanks are getting taken. The tanks, helicopters, attack helicopters, or just transport helicopters, are pretty much obsolete at the moment. Navy ships are going to be obsolete. Trump talking about a battleship. Yeah, nice big target. It's going to be interesting when Venezuela gets the green light from either China. I mean, the Americans are, as we speak, are chasing down a fucking Venezuelan freighter on its way to Iran. They can't seem to catch. This thing must be fucking fast because it's like if a U.S. warship can't catch a fucking tanker full of oil, maybe they'll catch up to it in a day or two. I don't know, but it's like that, or they're being playing cat and mouse. God knows, how do you how are they not catching this thing, right? Yeah, I think there's a lot more to it than that, but killing all those people in the boats, it's just are they drug runners? Are they? We don't know. They could be killing innocent people for all we know. We don't know. And again, yeah, the MAGA people, they'll believe anything Trump says. I get that. There's nothing you could do for those people. They're about as retarded as the left is, right? Like, it's like the left, like Joe Biden could do no wrong. I'm like, you fucking quality of life suffered so much under Joe Biden. Okay, it's a little bit worse under Trump right now because Trump has gone fucking insane. He wasn't supposed to. He was supposed to be the good guy, but, yet here we are, right? Israel said, no, you got to attack all these countries for us. It's insane. It's fucking insane. But my prediction of Zelensky, again, his days are numbered. Yes, right now I'm willing to bet, okay, Trump has attacked 6 countries in a couple of nights, or in the past week or so. Well, since Christmas. Started with not Nigeria, freaking whatever African country attacked Christmas Eve. People still don't even know what it was over. Like, it's just like, yeah, we attacked them. It's like, okay, why? And again, you've got all these just following orders guys out there, doing piracy on the high seas. So you're telling me none of these captains of these ships, are going to say, well, it's just following orders? Okay, what, they didn't read the Geneva Convention? It's like, they won't be held to account, but they should be. These men should be hung for crimes against humanity and piracy. You know what I mean? Like, if we're going to blow Somalian pirates out of the water when they attack ships, well, I think U.S. Should be blown out of the water for attacking. Again, it's like, well, these aren't freighters. They're moving nuclear weapons back and forth. Okay, well, show us the proof. This fucking, neocon war stuff is just so sickening. But it's going to lead to a lot of the stuff I said, right? So that's what's going on right now. So yes, you are going to see the rise of the hellhounds, and they're going to start to assassinate people. I'm not calling for it. I'm just saying, if there's no rule of law, you're going to get vigilante justice. So you get the Epstein file leaks. Do you really think that was an accident? I think it was something, okay, yeah, here it is redacted again. Let's see if we can get it out there and get some people to get it before it's, before they realize that it's not redacted, right? What happened is you look at the file, it was redacted, but they didn't take the text, underlining text away, right? So what happens is when you download it, you get the actual text and not the redaction, right? So it's like we now, basically full disclosure. And we're going to know who the bad guys really are. But it's like I said, Trump is in on it with Epstein. Look, the guy was way cozier with Epstein than, it's coming out now. It's coming out now. Maybe it's fake news, but I don't think so. Look, Ivana Trump, his first wife, was hanging around with Ghislaine Maxwell, basically grooming young teenage girls for their modeling agency and God knows what else. Probably Epstein. So Trump's first wife, is like buddies with Ghislaine Maxwell, but yet I barely knew the guy. You know what I mean? Like, and there's all these pictures of them. Like, again, if you just look at the pictures with Trump and Epstein, it's very, very clear that these guys knew each other. Like that, those weren't just formal photos. Those were guys that were partying together and hanging out together. And maybe that's what they got on Trump. But it's going to come out anyway, and when it does, it's just going to rip things apart even more disastrously. So anyway, I'm in the store, and I'm talking to my friend, and I'm going on, I'm telling her, okay, well, here's how Carney's playing up against Trump and stuff like that. And I said, no rain indoor. I don't like either guy, but here's the crazy thing about Canada is we're actually, our economy's bouncing along like a Super Ball. Like I said, it's up, it's down, it's up, it's down. But we're not in recession. The United States might be starting a depression. The economic numbers in the States, they're not as good as they're looking because they have the everything crisis too. But there's so many Americans that look up at Canada and say, "Oh my God, they're a disaster. They're done for." I'm like, guys, it's not. It's everywhere. It's in the States. It's in Canada. It's everywhere. The difference is Carney is actually growing the economy ever so slightly. It's small growth, but it's growth, right? And if you listen to Carney, if you listen to him when he sat down and he was talking, In the interview, I know people say, well, the CBC attacked Pierre and they didn't give him a fair shake. Of course they didn't. It's CBC. But if you just listen to the man talk, whether it's Pierre, whether it's Carney, you'll get a feel of what the guy's really about. And with Carney, he's not Trudeau. So don't compare him to Trudeau. Thank God he's not like Trudeau. But he's not our guy. But what I'm saying is that if he is a business-oriented man, he is looking for the deals. He is sniping out deals that would normally have automatically went to the United States. He's basically telling you nationalist things, that we're going to be, us first. Okay, there's a lot of things you complain about Carney, and people will just focus on the things that they hate. That's fine. But where we're getting the accidental wins, and now I can no longer call it, 8 months in, I can't call what Carney's doing accidental wins anymore. He's got a plan. You might not like some of the plan, with carbon capture and whatever. And I'm neutral on that one now, because it's like, okay, well, it is industry, and if it does lead to a cleaner environment, but I want to see data on it. I'm not for the climate change thing, but climate change is not the same as emissions. You know what I mean? To me, emissions and climate change are not as hand in hand as the left makes it out to be. I've always put pollution in a different category as climate change. Climate change, they blame it on, like CO2, basically, right? They blame it on one gas, and they say because cows fart, people fart, and you're driving your car, and that creates all this greenhouse gas, which is not completely wrong, right? But is it the contributing factor? The science says no. It's like, you add up every polluter in the world, including China and India and the United States, are the three biggest polluters for carbon, and it's like not even 1%. You know what I mean? It's barely worth mentioning. So that's clearly not it. We've been steadily warming since the last ice age. If we would have industrialized or not, I think we'd still be dealing with the same conditions. You know what I mean? But you want to talk about pollution in the middle of the ocean, the garbage, and circling in the middle of the ocean because the third world countries throwing their garbage in the ocean. Yeah, I'm on board with that. But carbon capture, if you take it away and you can reuse it for industry, because they do this already. They do use this for pressurizing the ground to get oil and stuff to come up. So it's just the technology is already being used. It's just needs to be refined a bit more. If it works as good as advertised, it'd be the equivalent of taking 90% of the vehicles off the road in Alberta, which means we wouldn't have to go completely EV, because the cars that would be on the road, all that carbon is never going to get into the atmosphere anyway, right? So it's something we have to keep an eye on. I'm not 100% on board with it, but I want to see more data on it. I want to see whatever. But that said, it's mega infrastructure, like that train, that bullet train that they want to make, or the high-speed rail that they want from basically Montreal to Toronto and a few other cities in between. Probably cost about $250 billion to build this thing. But that's super infrastructure for Canada. And of course, every time we go to talk about building infrastructure, you get the Conservatives always do this. And this pisses me off, because as a conservative person, I'm like, you have to break an egg to make an omelet. Everybody's in agreement with that. Okay? But as soon as there's a proposal of infrastructure, it's too expensive. It's too, we can't invest in this. Yeah, it's always expensive to bring in, the infrastructure. It's like the pipelines. You know what I mean? The Liberals are always against the pipelines just because. But the economy doesn't function just on pipelines. There's mega rail projects that, if you had a couple of bullet trains going back and forth across the country in, underground tubes or whatever, doing 200-300 miles an hour in these, underground high-speed train, that would be economically amazing for Canada. Let's say you can get the commercial train, the goods and services trains, traveling at 150 to 180 miles an hour. Okay, maybe they're not going as fast, but these bullet trains are going to deliver stuff faster, right? Now, mind you, when they crash, everybody dies. You know? But the thing is the train infrastructure. You know, that's jobs at Bombardier building trains. We're like one of the number one train manufacturers in the world. We do it, right? We have that technology. We are, you know, but we hold ourselves back because, you know, since the fall of the Avro Arrow, we basically destroyed our own industries in favoritism of America, which the Trump, like, that's what's so insulting to Canadians, is because a lot of Canadians understand this, that we've basically handed our almost our entire economy in favoring the United States, even over our own industries. Now, Carney's saying, no, we're going to favor our industries over the American industries. You know, like, us buying stuff from them is not a given. And he even said it on the military. Like, look, you know, when Trump says, oh, Canada's fucking us over, but then it's like, okay, well, explain out of every dollar spent on our military, 70 to 80 cents of it goes to the United States. That was just taken for granted by the American side. That all the weapons we just buy from them and whatever, because that was the agreement that was made for years and years. And we didn't mind doing it, because then we didn't have to go through the burden of developing our industries. We would just, you know, piggyback on theirs. They would get dominance in their industries and no competition and a reliable customer. Win, 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 right? But now it's like, okay, well, Trump has, you know, made it very clear that Canada is the enemy, and we are no longer, you know, he keeps saying we don't need anything from Canada. It's just like, even NORAD can't function without Canada. Like this, you know, you got general after general telling you that. That's like, no, we need the Canadians for the Arctic, or we're not going to be able to. There's going to be a massive blind spot in the Arctic if we cut them out. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it can never switch. And I think it needs to. I think Canada needs to be completely sovereign in the Arctic. You know, and again, I think what we're seeing is the pivot up there right now of the Nordic alliance with Canada. You know, which is also going to include Greenland. So the United States has pretty much lost influence in Greenland. It will not get Greenland because the Nordic countries are going to probably defend it, including us Canadians. Because we understand that we can't trust the United States anymore, and that's sad. You know, as a Canadian, trust me, that hurts me, because these are our best friends, and then, you know, we get backstabbed like that. You know what I mean? Like, and not only that, it's like, okay, Trump, if you want to wreck your own economy, go ahead, go nuts, but don't fucking trash ours in the process. And that's what we have to do up here, is figure out how to survive the collapse of the United States. That's what I told my friend out in the neighboring town. I'm like, the question is, if I didn't get too much into depth. I said, look, all the crazy stuff. Don't spend too much time, you know, worrying about it and stuff like that. Like, so just keep stockpiling food, put away medications, anything you're going to need just in case, right? And I said, it's going to get worse, but I said, the reason why it doesn't upset me is because I take the line out of Devil's Rejects, the movie Devil. I keep my standards low, so I'm never disappointed, right? And trust me, I always expect people to do dumb things, especially people in power, and I'm never disappointed. I'm always entertained. How stupid these people can fucking get, right? How fucking crazy they can get. Like, tell me you want to kill everybody in the world without telling me you want to kill everybody in the world. Yeah, let's do airstrike. Let's do fucking drone strikes on Vladimir Putin's house. Yeah. Tell me you want to destroy the world without telling me you want to destroy the world. And like, who's going to take credit for that? You know, there's already been repercussions. You know, like, I mean, it's like, okay, Zelensky can now never be dealt with by the Russians. And again, I know that, yeah, but the Russians are the bad guys. They're all bad guys. They're all bad guys. It's just innocent people that get killed in the crossfire of these mob bosses fighting. It's just the way humanity works. So even if you got rid of Zelensky, Trump, and Xi, and Putin, and all them, and all the dickhead dictators that we have now, it'd be a power vacuum, and new shitheads would come in. It just is what it is. It never changes in that sense. Once in a while, you get somebody that actually comes out in history and actually fights for their own people. And you will get that again, but it has to get a lot worse before you get that. But the big one is that one thing I was sitting there, and the two girls are there, and I'm like, yeah, I said, oh, it's gonna get really bad. Like, I mean, there's gonna be like freaking nukes flying and people dead in the street, and I'm like that, and they're like both looking at me. I'm like, oh, sorry, they're like, oh my god. I said, do you ever see the movie 2012 with Woody Harrelson scene where he's watching, like basically, what you call it, Yellowstone Park blowing up, and he's like, it's so beautiful. That's me. It's like, oh, look at this, look at all this chaos. I love it. Yeah, it's like I wouldn't know what to do in a normal world anymore. Like I really I think about like I mentioned it many times, like living in the 80s and in the 90s of how normal things were back then, and the problems any problems I would have had back then, it's just like it was nothing. I had no problems back then. Like like anything I was hyperbolic about back then and all, it's just nothing, just nothing at all. It was like it's like like the younger generation has never, unfortunately, experienced a normal world. Uh, Maybe it's just the way it's got to be. I don't know, but holy fuck, it's like they don't let up on the pedal, do they? Like, I mean, it's just like let's just fucking let's ram this train right off the fucking rails, right? Let's burn this bitch. Let's go. Yeah, so it's been a crazy, crazy week. I don't know what else I could say. Like pretty much my 2026 predictions, a lot of them are already coming true, and it's only going to. But these wars that Trump is starting now, this is what's going to lead to his assassination. It might happen faster than I think. I think it's going to be more at the end of the year, but it could be, the guy's basically a bull in a china shop. The Trump administration is just firing off in all directions, right? Because the neocons are crazy. They're losing. Like Israel's losing influence everywhere. Even evangelicals are starting to come out of the ether. You know what I mean? Like they're like, okay, no, the God's chosen people are fucking evil. You know what I mean? Like it's not a trope. It's not anti-Semitism. It's like no, they're doing pure evil. They've killed 100,000 people. And now they want to go. They just want to kill everybody. Like they're just fucking insane, right? And it's like, oh, but you're racist, bigot. Like it doesn't work anymore. That's not. Like that's a dead end. Like it's just that just tells me like the gaslighting isn't working anymore. It's just like there's still people that are dumb. They're still in ether, and the partisans are partisans. But look at the dissolvement of the neocon conservative normie, conservative, con Inc. Look at the fallout that's going on there. People are like, no, we're fucking nationalists now. We're America first. None of these fucking wars all over the place. If the Cuban lobby wants to fucking overthrow Vidal by taking out Venezuela, fuck them. If Israel wants to take out Iran, fuck them. You know what I mean? People have had enough of this bullshit, right? But until the men who are just following orders do the right thing, the chaos will keep going on. Again, law enforcement, military could wrap all this up globally. They could get all the pedophile rings. They could get all the stop all the wars. All they got to do is turn against the world elites. That's all they got to do. And you're going to see coups everywhere. The problem is you usually get a bad guy that does the coup, like Fidel Castro or something like that. You overthrow the government, then you're the ruler for the next 85 years or whatever. You know what I mean? And that's usually what you end up with. But like libertarianism, I believe will die completely in 2026 once people realize the fallacy of it. You know what I mean? People that are not left wing are out there. They can finally see the problems with capitalism. And I've always said capitalism is a double-edged sword. The only thing about capitalism is it always takes the longest to fail. Communism fails pretty much out the gate. It's been tried the right way every time. And it's just a question of every time communism fails. And yes, it's been tried right on paper as well. It's as bad on paper as it is in real life. Communism is a complete failure. The only question is when communism fails, how many people die? You know what I mean? How many people are going to starve to death? Well, with capitalism, you do get the same thing, but you just get a balkanized society of have and have nots, right? And the haves are always outnumbered by the have nots, which creates your French Revolution. It creates your Pitchfork Revolution. Like, so you're going to see, like, probably by the end of 2026, like a French Revolution 3.0 across the world. If you thought the trucker convoy was exciting, just wait till the trucker convoy 2.0, whatever it's going to look like, right? And it's really like with the remigration now, like, I mean, some of that stuff is starting to break into the mainstream where people are saying, okay, up here in Canada, yes, believe it or not, we're actually shrinking. The population has shrank by 78,000. Hardly worth mentioning, but it's hopefully that's the trend of basically Carney sending basically expired visa people home and hopefully illegals, right? Fraudulent claims and stuff like that. He seems to be doing that on the back door. The funny thing about Carney is, like, the guy is like hated by both sides. And like the right thinks everybody that voted for him loves him. And it's like, it's no, like all the left wing people, the amount of left wing people out there that are like, oh, he's a secret conservative. No, he's just a 90s liberal. That's all he is. If you judge him by his policies, judge him by his words, he's a 90s liberal. That's what he is, which was sane back then. You know, like like he's not a conservative. He's not conserving anything except for portfolios. That's it. He's a businessman. There's no doubt about that. He's a bankster, and I keep saying, will the bankster outplay the economist? Meaning, will Carney be a better prime minister than Stephen Harper? And that's the bar to beat, is Stephen Harper. You know, say no. Well, he's a liberal, therefore he's bad. It doesn't work like that. Liberals can be good, they can be bad. Most of the ones we've gotten in the last past, you know, since Sir Wilfrid Laurier have been pretty bad. Sir Wilfrid Laurier was actually a decent liberal in hindsight. At the time, he would have seemed like a radical lefty, blah blah blah. But even his stance on immigration back then, even the far right wouldn't even take that hard of a line. You know what I mean? Yeah, like, we need Sir Wilfrid Laurier. And that he'd be like the ultimate like right winger by today's standards. Like, it'd be pretty glorious. You know what I mean? But the thing is that no, guys, look, being more of a political atheist and not just doubling down on the partisanship. You know, like, I listen to everything, even the stuff I don't want to. I was listening to a guy last night, for example, talking about, like, he came off as, I don't know if he was anti-capitalist. He said he was anti-capitalist. And there's people that are, oh, capitalism, oh, that means you're a communist. No, it does not mean you're a communist. It means you're critiquing capitalism for its flaws, and there are many. And you know, again, there's more flaws in communism, but capitalism and communism are two sides of the same coin, and none of them care about the people. You know, like, they're nationalists are the only ones that actually attempt to care about their people, but they're tribal. That's the thing. So what this guy was talking about was that, you know, like, the arguments from the right and why he disagreed with stuff. And he goes, and I know the arguments. So he started showing the books he was reading. He read Bob McDonald, Jared Taylor, you name it, like all the big right wing guys, right? And all their arguments. Now he was like, oh, you know, like, he was a, you know, kind of, oh, these are not very well read people. No one can say whether you like Jared Taylor, you don't like Jared Taylor. You can't say the man's not well read. You know, like, the man is extremely intelligent. He's a white man that is very well read. You know what I mean? And whatever. And you have to understand, Jared Taylor started off on the left. He was a hardcore liberal back in the 60s, and he changed his views. I was more of a liberal in the 90s. I've changed my views. I'm more right. Sargon of Akkad, you know, go Britain, go. Like, guys like freaking, the reincarnation of Saint George. You know what I mean? And think about how far. Think of 2014 Sargon of Akkad, the skeptic community. Remember all those skeptic community guys, which just ended up turning into communists, like the Bathing Atheist or whatever, those progressive guys, or Roosh, not Roosh, sorry, Vaush. Vaush, who's just like the most cringe guy. Like that guy is he is hard to take. He's like Destiny. It's like you don't listen to those guys because they don't argue in good faith. They're just moral relativists, they contradict everything just for the sake of it, right? Because they know they're just a grifter. They don't stand for anything. They just they know how to make money by pissing people off. Okay, fine, whatever. Don't waste your time with them. But this guy was making a point that, and what I might not probably agree with some of these guys' stances, but I didn't know what they were. But one of the things I did like was that, okay, if you're on the left and you've read all these guys from the right side of the aisle and you still disagree with them, I'd be more interested of what your critique is. Because what that tells me is you went outside your echo chamber into the gray zone, and from the gray zone into below enemy radar to find out what was there. You went to the other side to see what the other half was thinking. This is what I do all the time. And to me, that's where, now mind you, this is a younger guy, probably in his 20s. We had a full head of hair, so he's probably in his 20s into early 30s at the latest, right? And the thing is like, okay, I'd like to know what your critique is and what you're proposing. Just to, like, okay, well, if you are against the nationalist right, okay, why? And if it's just the argument of hyper individualism and tribalism, well, the more relativist argument is why the left is so, like, completely self-destroying. Like it's complete nihilism over on the left. I feel bad for like hyper left-wing progressives, because these people, like, they can't even function in their own head. They short circuit. You literally can see the brain virus come out when there's no shortage of videos of like liberal women just sitting there screeching with their eyeballs, just those deadly eyes, like the death eyes, you know what I mean? Like they're just dead inside. You tell them what they don't want to hear, they just start screeching. And it's like, that is not a healthy person. That is a person that has a very short circuit going on in the brain that can't function. And they can't function because their ideology is so contradictory that when they double down on it, it drives them insane. You know what I mean? Like, think of all the people that are going to be coming out of the ether from the trans thing. Oh my God, I cut, parts off of my child. Like I had my child basically sterilized, because I believed a radical ideology. Like who makes peace with that? You know what I mean? That's why they get so vitriol and so angry and try to shut you down, is because they can't handle that. If it's not that you're wrong, if you're wrong, it's no problem. They give you enough rope to hang yourself. It's that if you're right, their worldview is wrong and it's pure fucking evil, and they've done the most evil thing to their own children or to themselves. Pray for people like that. That's all you can do. And you're not going to get that from the left. You're not going to get that from the center. You're not going to get that from Conservative Inc. What you're going to get from Conservative Inc. is we have to support Israel no matter what. That's it. That's all they're there for. You have to be an individualist. Don't be a nationalist. Don't stand up for your country. Don't demand that you have a place in the world. Don't demand your culture or whatever heritage be dominant. Just be an individual. Right? This is why Jordan Peter's failing. This is why Matt Walsh is failing. This is why Ben Shapiro is failing. You know what I mean? Like, these guys can't resonate with the younger generation. They're like, no. Like, look, white women are getting stabbed and murdered and burnt and you name it on subways from minorities. You have all these minorities killing us and raping our girls and everything like that. And those women are still progressives on top of that. Like, I mean, like, oh my God, what do you do? Right? But you're starting to see the wake-up call. And like more and more every week, there's normies on YouTube putting out videos about anti-Zionism and like, oh my God, I was wrong about feminism. Now, mind you, like, I mean, those things are going to leave scars and residue, right? So it's going to be a generation or two before that gets outgrown. Like I say, the saviors come in mid to late Gen A, Gen Alpha, and somewhere in Gen Beta. That's where you're going to see your strongmen. That's where you're going to see a rebalancing of the system. Problem is that's not for another 25 to 30 years. You know what I mean? So most of the guys like me, I'll be probably dead by then. If we can survive long enough to die of natural causes. Like that's the world we're in, right? So everything you see this week, everything you see next week, and all this craziness, it all comes, like it's all heading us into a very dystopic future. And when you can see, like, for example, up here in Canada, like, again, I know a lot of my audience, they disagree with me on the stuff I'm saying about Carney because, they're focused on the bad things of the past 10 years with Trudeau. And I understand that. I don't trust Carney either. But what I'm saying is, it's not what they say, it's what they do. Go look at the numbers. The numbers are telling us that we're not in recession. We're outplaying Trump. We're getting trade deals that are now starting to come online, and there's still more to go. Yes, the investment is not as big as he promised, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. There was we're $78 billion over our budget, but we have a running government that is within a budget. The United States has to come up with $20 trillion to keep the fucking to keep the fucking government running for the next couple of years. Like they don't have the money; they're broke. I remember this skit in 2008. You guys remember the British guys sitting there? Okay, Greece, Spain, Italy, and Ireland, and UK, and Germany. Okay. This country owes this country this much money. This country owes this country money. And then he goes, well, yeah, well, they're this much in debt. Yeah, now you owe this much, and you got to pay it back. The other guys, well, yeah, but we can't pay it back. They're broke. Exactly. So this now you owe this, and now you owe this, and now they owe this, and now you owe this. Now you owe this, and they got to pay this guy. Well, how are they going to pay them? They got no money. Exactly. And now you owe this, and it's just like, they're all broke. Who's going to bail who out? Everybody's broke. And it's like, yeah, the gods must be crazy. Catch-22, those movies, Moon Over Parador. This has been our lives since 2008. Again, if you haven't seen those three movies, Gods Must Be Crazy, Moon Over Parador, and Catch-22. And just... I think Richard Dreyfuss was in two of them. Definitely Moon Over Parador. That was a great movie. From what I remember of it, I remember I watched it a few times. I just remember enjoying it so much. And Trump is like basically playing the Raul Julian. I always call him Paul Julian, but it's Raul Julian. Basically the guy who's played Fester Adams, right? But it's like Trump is in a really, really kind of what the fuck is he doing? Like, how is anybody left on his base? Like a total betrayal of his base, starting all these wars and just randomly attacking all these countries and using the U.S. Navy as a fucking pirate navy to steal fucking oil. Maybe what's happened is there's something going on with the oil that Trump really fucked up. And again, I see the stealing of the oil. Okay, yeah, it's against China, obviously, and Iran because they do trade. Like Iran sends oil to Venezuela for refinement, right? And they sell it to them. They get it back themselves. But they also, like China's been trying to build up refinement in Iran for a better part of 20 years now, or at least 15 years. And the thing is that if the U.S. does airstrikes in Iran and goes after the oil fields, they're going to destroy Chinese assets, right? The Chinese are only going to tolerate this so much, right? And you've already seen, basically Putin's, taking, destroying Turkish merchant ships in the past week. Again, total fucking crazy, right? And again, barely any of it makes the news. Why? Because they can't talk about that, right? They can't talk about it for two reasons. One, Trump will come down on them. And two, they're all in on it. You have to understand, like CNN and NBC and ABC and all that, and Fox News. They're all owned by the same people that own like big stakes in the like Lockheed Martin and the oil industries, Shell and Exxon and all that, and the big pharma, all that big agro. It's all owned by the same group of people, right? That's why, like, when people say, "Oh, they're bringing in the New World Order," it's like, no, it's been here for decades. It's been here for about a century. It's just they're advancing it. That's all they're doing. They tweak it from time to time, right? And one of the things that you got is that, like, in order to take out Alberta and Saskatchewan, the United States has to basically destroy. They have to get the oil from somewhere else, and Venezuela has basically the same type of heavy crude that the us Canadians have, right? So if you can destroy the Albertan oil overnight, and it might collapse the country, right? Or put us into a hard recession. But I think we rebound at it. It'll collapse it overnight, but when we rebound in a couple of months, like that's it. Like the United States is cut off at that point, right? So the oil has to go to the strategic reserves because remember, Biden started to empty the oil strategic reserves in the states to keep the gas prices down, right? Trump has done the same thing. That's why like the economy doesn't make sense. It's like how can the prices go down? Well, it's because they manipulate the oil by tapping into the reserves. But we're on the cusp of a massive war, right? To war expansion. We're already at war, but we're like war expansion. So in order to do that, you got to build up your strategic reserves. But if you start tapping into those reserves, gas prices are going to go up, right? And Trump can't afford any more gas prices going up. He can't afford any more food inflation. People are already fucking screaming and shaking their fists in the air. They're going to grab their pitchforks fairly soon. There's no stopping it now. Trump fucked up. He's the bad guy, right? He's no better than Biden. In fact, he's worse than Biden. I didn't think that was possible, but here we are. Like this is happening on Trump's watch. Yes, he inherited bad things from Biden. I agree. Yes, they tried to steal. They stole an election from him. I agree. The evidence is there. You got to look at this stuff without partisanship the best you can. And once you do, you realize, like all sides, even the sides that are on your side, lie. They either lie by omission or they're just like they're stuck in that left-right paradigm narrative that really. And I said this years ago, guys, that like, look, I'll critique the left, I'll beat the shit out of the left as much as I can, verbally, of course, and I will criticize them till the cows come home. But when my side starts stepping out of line, I will critique them too. And that's what an honest man does. I'm not a saint. I'm not perfect. I get things wrong. I can get misinformation the same way you get misinformation. But I usually correct it as soon as I find out something different, right? I look at the data. I don't just take anybody's word for it. Because, like, let's say you listen to Jasmine Lane. I like Jasmine Lane. She's a pretty girl. She's smart. She's got a good head on her shoulders. You know what I mean? But she's still like, Pierre can do no wrong and Carney can do no right, right? And you can get good information from her, but you got to go through the slag of listening to the partisan stuff, right? There's the House of L. She's fantastic. She is, I don't know if she's Dutch or whatever she is, but she's obsessed with Canada for whatever reason and whatever. Now, she's a Carney cheerleader. There's no doubt about that. But she does give you a critical analyst of a lot of stuff. And she's a great source for finding out, cutting through the noise. She's, again, cheerleading the other side. She's obviously anti-Trump, but she shows you the data. She shows you the data. There's another guy, Klaus something. He's a Canadian as well. He's on the left. There's no doubt about that. He's on the left, but he shows you the data. So sometimes I'm like, okay, this guy's full of shit. He'll say silly things too. But for the most part, he'll even give praise to like Danielle Smith when she does right, or Doug Ford. And he doesn't like these people. And I'm like, okay, well, he's doing critical analysis. So he's like, okay, everything's doom on the news cycle, but they're not telling about this, 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 and this. And this is where I come in, is I do that too. It's like, okay, hey, look, this is the economy. This is the good about it. Here's the bad. That's why I say the U.S. economy, and that's what I told my friends out in Kaz there. It's like, okay, think of the U.S. economy like bad, ugly, and disaster. Like and think of the Canadian economy like a super ball bouncing up and down, up and down. We're not in recession, but we're growing a bit, but then we're down a bit, we're growing a bit, and whatever. But think of the Canadian economy like good, bad, gamble. The gamble is can we outrun the collapse of the United States? That is really what Carney is up against, and he knows this, and he's even telling you this. One thing, commonality between Stephen Harper and Carney that I'm noticing is that they tell you exactly what's going on, but they do it in such a downplayed fashion because I guess they're just being, stoic politicians that are just basically, they don't want to be hyperbolic to their investors, right? So they're saying, well, this is some of the headwinds we might be heading. They'll use language like those kind of buzzwords, headwinds, not, oh my God, it's doom. No, like they don't do what Trump does. Trump says stuff to purposely manipulate the markets, right? On the masses. Well, Carney and people like Harper, they chose their words a lot more carefully, like headwinds, focusing on the path so we don't go away from this, whatever. And they're signaling to their guys saying, okay, when I say headwinds, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, it means this, turbulence in the economy in this sector, that sector, whatever. But they do it in such a way that the masses, we're going to get some headwinds. Like they don't run out and pull all their investments out of the fucking bank, you know what I mean, and out of their stocks, right? Because if they did, like, they'd crash the economy. That's why the economy's doing this, right? It's crazy enough as it is. Let's add more chaos. Let's just go add more chaos. But I listen to people like the Young Turks. I can't stand the Young Turks, but once in a while, a broken clock is right twice a day, maybe. You know what I mean? But what about right-wingers? Who are the good right-wingers? I don't listen to X22 Report. I encourage you not to listen to him anymore. I stopped listening to him about a year and a half ago. He was on the right track, but then he just became a Trump cheerleader. I don't listen to Next News anymore. I do like the Right Edition. I think he's great. He's a boomer. Yeah, okay, he's boomer conservative, whatever. But he's good on a lot of things, but he's not very in depth on a lot of things. So I don't agree with everything he says, but I do like the topics he brings up. Brian Lilley, I know, love him, hate him. He's a liberal. He's not a liberal. He's a normie conservative. That's what he is. So I don't agree with him on everything, but he is like our version of Ben Swann. I don't even know if Ben Swann's even out there anymore. But it's Sun News, so you got to, Sun News is the previously Rebel News, like Rebel News previously was Sun News, you know what I mean? Part of Sun News. So Sun News, okay, yes, you've got the partisans there that are, Israel this, Israel that, right? But from Brian Lilley, like when he will critique things very, very honestly. I met the man once. He even quoted me once on a show on the, talking about gun rights and stuff like that. And I told him, I said, just say this one thing on your show. You can't legislate. Once people realize you can't legislate crazy and criminal as an occupation, you'll understand why gun control doesn't work. You know what I mean? And he quoted it, and it was cool. He even called me out by name. I was like, oh, that's cool. But even at that, I don't agree with Brian Lilley on everything. But even he'll say, okay, well, this is good, but it's not going to happen for another 10 years. What are you going to do now? Okay, fair questions. You know what I mean? And those are the guys that, okay, yeah, you got to weed through their partisans and stuff like that. So I know lately it sounds like I'm bashing on the right all the time, but again, if you look at the state of the right now, more in the States than it is up here, but even up here, like Pierre, like how much longer are you going to go on about tankers and pipelines? You're going to have to find a new message. I'm not against the tankers and pipelines, but you can't make that your entire platform. Right at the end of the campaign, Pierre was really starting to come into his own. And then he just kind of lost the plot a bit, and Carney basically stole his ideas. And that's one thing I told you about Carney is like the stuff that he's doing that's working is the stuff that Pierre was going to do. He might be doing it slightly different, but those were things that if Pierre was doing or Trump was doing. I mean, 90 deals in 90 days. That's not Trump. That's fucking Carney. This man is flying all over the world. Yes, when you meet the first time, you don't come home with a trade deal. That's fucking cartoons. That's not real life. You made 10 meetings before you got the draft for the trade deal. Like, trade deals don't happen overnight. That said, at the rate Carney is doing the trade deals, like I say, you're not going to see the major benefits for another 4 or 5 years, but you're already starting to see some of the benefits. And every time we divert trade from the United States, we're just a little more secure. And almost everybody's willing to pay a little bit more to do business with us because we're open for business. And Carney said it best. Look, no deal is better than a bad deal. And, like the Americans, like, look, we're not in talks with them right now, but we have the framework drawn up ready for negotiations whenever they're ready. You know what I mean? So the ball's in Trump's court, not ours, And not only that, he's like, just because they make a deal, make an offer doesn't mean we're going to take it. If it's not good, Carney keeps repeating this over and over and over again. If it's not a good deal for Canada, we're not going to take it. Now, has the man flip-flopped? Yes, on certain things. But the man does seem flexible for negotiation. So is it flip-flopping or is he negotiating? And like, look on all the climate change stuff. He has to fight the left on it, right? Where he's saying basically to the CBC, who's like basically advocated for him, and now it's like, why are you not radical left anymore, basically, And he's like, look, here's the policies we had. We could have more policy, but unless we have action, nothing's going to get done, and nothing gets done, we can't progress. You know what I mean? Like, we got to build stuff, is what he's saying. And that's the problem with the left. They never want to build anything. They think everything just magically appears. We need to put more regulations, environmental regulations on the farmers. Because our food just comes from the grocery store anyway. Like, they really don't make the two, and they don't make a 2 + 2 = 4 connection. Unfortunately, we have a very dumbed down society on both the left and the right. Very few people are capable of critical thought. Very few. Maybe 10, 15% of the world's population are capable of critical thought. The rest are just fucking emotional fucking idiots. That's what they are. And there's nothing you can do about that. You just have to ride that wave. But you have to know how to appeal to emotion with common sense. And there's the $64 million question, because emotion doesn't follow common sense, right? It doesn't matter if it's on the left, doesn't matter if it's on the right. It's just, one's just as bad as the other. And it's self-destructive, right? So you have to lead by example. You have to build shit. And we're building stuff up here. Yes, most of that is stimulus. I'll get back to one thing about the economy. So when Carney promised $240 or $250 billion in infrastructure, $200 billion of that is going towards paying our fucking interest on the debt, right? It's our debt payment. Now, a lot of people have critiqued this, but I'm like, if it's $200 billion a month or a year to pay on the debt, and we're paying that actual debt, but we're a little bit over, okay, but we're paying the debt and bringing the debt down, that means our deficit's going to come down until we have no deficit. And the way the budget's supposed to work in the next 4 years, it's going to take 10 years to balance the budget. Same it took Stephen Harper 10 years. You can balance the budget overnight, but like, how many people die in the process? You got people dying in hospitals. They're making a big deal about the guy that died after an 8-hour wait in the hospital. Like, well, he only waited 8 hours? And of course, because it's an immigrant, it gets front page news, right? Oh, whatever. What they don't tell you is that, okay, yeah, but at the last count, 23% of the hospitals have been overwhelmed, or the hospital's been overwhelmed by 23% increase in hospital visits by fucking migrants coming in left, right, and center. That's why we never have enough doctors. We never have enough nurses or surgeons, because we're bringing in people way too fast. So the Liberals can't come out and tell you that our population shrunk by 78,000 because they sent temporary foreign workers home, which is a good It's a start, but it's like, okay, we need to see like 300,000 people a week leaving for at least the next 2 years. We got to come down by at least 8 million people, or we're toast. The Americans have got to come down by about 40 to 60 million people, or they're toast. You know what I mean? Because we can't sustain it. Can't sustain it. And you can call me racist, big, or whatever, but it's like, okay, well, like when the left gets back in the States, they're going to open up the borders, and you're going to get about 100 million people per year coming in. What does that look like? Well, that looks like the $8,500 gold that I'm predicting. You know what I mean? Oh, well, my gold's going to go to $8,500. Yeah, but you know what kind of world that is going to be to live in? Like, you don't want $8,500 gold, or at best $5,400 gold at the end of the year. It's just going to jump and jump. It might even go higher than $8,500. The higher it goes, the more doomed we are. And like it's you got to understand where we're at. The food supply thing, I'm gonna scream about that one. Be putting food away, put medications away. Be prepared to live like the fucking Waltons. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna have, like, it's gonna be Little House on the Prairie, no matter where you live. The power might stay on, but we could use Venezuela as when your economy collapses, the power might be only on 6 hours a day or something like that. No one's going to be able to pay their hydro bill. Grocery stores in black communities are going to get looted to the point where they're going to starve themselves out. I mean, look, you can take the African from Africa, but you can't take Africa out of the African, right? So it is what it is. I'm sorry, it sounds mean, it's cruel, I get it. But it's a thing. The blacks are going to destroy their own cities. When they're starving to death, they're killing each other and anybody else around them. And you say, well, what about the white people? You think they're going to be any better? No. Just not to the same scale, that's all. So white people will be killing each other, stealing each other's food, stealing this, that, just in lower numbers than the blacks. The blacks are going to be like 90% of them doing it, where maybe 10% of the white people will be doing it. But it's all bad. It's all bad, no matter where you are. It's all bad. In-group preference is going to be a main theme of 2026, whether you like that or not. And again, I don't hate people. I know a lot of people, I understand these are ugly conversations. So you'd think I hate every immigrant and whatever. I don't. But what I'm saying is not sustainable. And you have to protect your culture first, or you lose it. You know what I mean? And people are coming to that realization. And as they do, it's like it's very overwhelming and black pilling. A lot of people are just, well, I'll just lay down and die. And that's the exact thing you don't want to do, because if you think you're going to die quickly, no, you're going to be miserable for decades and decades and decades by be doing nothing, right? Where the people that are doing something, the breakaway society stuff, which you're really going to start to see, you saw like the return to the land thing last year, and all racist, Nazi, bigots, whatever. You're going to see like that all over the place. And those people are going to thrive, even if they're not even if they're set back to the 1800s. They're going to be like technologically advanced in about 20, 30 years, to the point where, like the establishment won't even be able to use the military on them, because they're going to be able to know how to defend themselves. It's very easy to see this coming. Our governments hate us. It's as simple as that. Our world leaders hate us. They want us to. They don't want us to die. They want us to suffer to death. They don't want to just kill us. They want us to. They hate us that much. And again, you can just listen to the language of these people. Are insane. They're absolutely insane. Like there's only so many more times that the conspiracy theorists can get it right before the normies are just like, okay, yeah, we're fucked. What do we do? Yeah, they're not wrong. They got it right again. But no, like I'm telling you, if we're doing good, I'll tell you when we're doing good. If we're doing bad, I'll tell you when we're doing bad. The problem with the States is I'm not finding the economic wins that Trump is putting out there. There are some, but nothing really worth mentioning. It's just one industry after another being completely torn apart by these tariffs. The tariffs are a tax. The tax was designed, it was a way for Trump to tax everything so that he could pay to keep the government open, right? Rather than actually do some fucking real austerity, which is going to have to do. And you can't do austerity when you're constantly bombing other countries. So maybe the left was right. Orange man bad. Sorry, guys, but yeah, another politician that let you down. Surprise. Shocked. Shocked. Obama promised the same thing, hope and change. And they all do it. Trump going to drain the swamp. He's a part of the swamp. It's just, will we ever win? Will we ever win? I don't know. But you got to survive it. The only way out is through. And then the best way to survive it, really, guys, is, be on the internet, but don't be on it all day. Don't be playing video games all day. Don't be, go out and do something creative. Go out and spend time with quality time with people you know and love and care about. Go do those things. Those things are what make the world a better place. Because when it all gets stripped away, the only thing you're really going to have is your relationships, right? And once you realize that, then everything else doesn't really matter that much. It really doesn't. All the Andrew Tates of the world and stuff like that, trying to be like that. Why would you want to be like that? Yeah, sure, I love to have the guy's money, but his character is deeply flawed. And I'm not one of those, he's bad just for, he says some good things once in a while, but you have to understand, guys like Andrew Tate are a product of the environment of bad fathering. You know what I mean? The guy had basically an absentee father, in his own words. He loves his father and everything like that. There's no doubt about that. But his dad basically fucking didn't pay him any mind, so he just becomes this hyper masculine thing that that, and it just tries to encourage men to be as toxic as possible. Now the pimp thing, obviously, the e-pimp thing, I'm against that for sure. Andrew Tate could have been a man that could have done a lot for good with the $30 million he has. He could have opened up businesses, put people to work in honest industries. He could have helped promote, healthy relationships between men and women. But instead, no, just, more toxicity, just because I'm against the left. You know what I mean? No, either you're right-hand path or you're not. You know what I mean? Successful is neither here nor there. It's the influence is probably more important than the the gratification of, okay, great, you can go out and buy a Lamborghini. It doesn't make you a better man. You know what I mean? It's your actions. It's what you do. It's there's a really cool channel called The Grim. That guy, go listen. Don't listen to him before you go to bed. His voice will fucking give you nightmares. But just the way he talks about stuff. And he was the guy that I think was out there going, "Screw your ambitions. Nothing's more important than family." The way he says it, it's just with that conviction and stuff like that. But he was right. He's right. That's what's important. That's what's important. And you have that. There's really nothing they can take from you. Oh, geez. Okay, my hydro's out, but okay, well, I'll set up the tent in the house. You know what I mean? Yeah, it'd be like camping in the house. I could fucking survive that. Yeah, you just have to, get a little burner stove or something to boil water so we can take a bath once in a while. Take a bath in the snowbank. Oh. But I really, I do really laugh at the madness and the chaos of it all. I didn't expect to burst out laughing while I was talking about people being vaporized by nukes in public, but it was kind of funny. Both of them looking at me like this. I was like, oh yeah, it's me dudes. We'll be dead people all over the place. Oh, sorry. I was like, but what can you do? It's like, yeah, it's like, I'm sure, Amanda, it's another Amanda, she's probably going to say, oh, I was talking to Reg, this is what he said. It's like, oh yeah, that sounds like something you would say. It's like he was laughing like a madman. But but the Woody Harrelson character, in 2012 when he's watching Yellowstone blow up, it's magnificent. It's beautiful. It's magnificent. Send the asteroid. Why not? Right? And again, but just have it. Don't let the grim get to you. It's always out here. It will affect you, but it's always out here. You can keep it out here, and you just need to know where it is so you can navigate it. Again, learn to live around the chaos. Lead by example. Um, do something creative in your life. You know what I mean? You can paint with the lights out. You can read a book. During an economic collapse, you can't eat it, but you can read it. You can grow food. Like when Venezuela, its last major collapse that it had there, all those people out in Caracas protesting for 8 hours a day. I'm like, well, you better have spent fucking 8 hours in the morning in the garden. You know what I mean? Because that is your salvation. Ferdinand from Modern Survivalists, he talks about the collapse of Argentina back in the 90s or whatever, when it collapsed back then. And Argentina has collapsed 9 times in 50 years. And he talks about what it's like living during that time. Like it's like a depressing time. Like it's a depressing time. And if you were just sitting there in your house waiting for the lights to come back on, yeah, you would be absolutely devastatingly depressed. That's why, like I say, pick up things like books and board games and stuff that you can do with the power out. Because, again, pads and paper and pencils, pens, whatever, stock up on that stuff because, if you knew that, okay, let's say that, well, the next pandemic that they bring in, we really can't go anywhere because there's an armed guard at the end of every street that will actually shoot you if you come out of your house. Okay, well, better have the things in your house that you can keep yourself entertained with. Maybe you're allowed out of the house like 3 times a day or whatever. Who knows? Or you're allowed to this city block or that side. Or you're caught in the Chinese social credit score system and you're like this poor girl who was stuck. She was basically trapped in a mall. She couldn't go from her digital ID malfunctioned, and she made videos on this. She couldn't open a door to go from one mall out to the street to get back to her house. She basically had to stay in the mall for a week until they sorted it out. Like, yeah, and everybody still goes along with it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, what do you do? What do you do? Like, when we get there, we saw what the average person is going to do during COVID, right? People always talk about, well, if it was World War II and I was with the Nazis, would I have went along with what they went along with? Yes, they would have. Most people would have. That's most people. That's why the normies don't matter. Like you could try to convince them, put it out there, and if it sinks in at some point, the odd one will come out of the ether. But like I say, when we get the left wing swing, and you're already seeing like all these conservative little strongholds, in by-elections and stuff, just fucking losing left, right, and center to the left because everybody is so, like Trump has destroyed basically right-wingers across the world. Like there's, like it's going to be very hard to get a right-wing government ever again. So like Tory conservative, GOP conservative, those days are gone. If you're a pro-Israel guy, you're not going to get elected. It's as simple as that. You're starting to see that already. But that downside is that most of that's on the left. Most of the people on the right are still pro-Israel. Why? I have fucking no idea. But I understand the evangelicals, they were brainwashed into the chosen people narrative. But, like these, hyper individualist libertarian types, why would they still support Israel? Because Muslims are terrorists because the news said so, right? And it's just like, yeah, a lot of them are terrorists. There's no doubt about that. I'm not questioning that. But why do you think Israel's the good guy? Like, there could be two bad guys, Muslims and Jews do have a lot of problems. I'm not saying Christians don't have any problems, but typically those, they've been fighting for thousands of years. They're not going to end that overnight. That's up to them to go through it themselves. But anyway, so this week has been crazy. You got Chad. Yeah. You got Christmas Eve, Chad bombing for the Black Christmas. I mean, that's literally a Black Christmas. We're bombing black people on, on Christmas Eve, right, for Trump. We've now, hitting all kinds of Venezuelan targets all over the place, some in Venezuela. Trump basically, those explosions are going to get bigger. We're going after the drug cartels and yeah, like we believe you. You know what I mean? Like it's just, uh, who knows? But blowback, the blowback of Venezuela is going to be multiple layered. It's going to be from the left. It's going to be from the right. It's going to be from the center. Like I said back in 2009, guys, when they killed Muammar Gaddafi. Muammar Gaddafi is the future of the world elite. So I'm not making any threats, but you can't keep with fucking with people on this side, that side, and all over for the interest of the for the elites to keep them comfortable and in power, and they have to just destroy everybody's lives like that. Eventually, you're going to get Marie Antoinette 2.0. You're going to like there's no more let them eat cake. People are fed up. The pitchfork revolution's coming. The assassinations are coming. You're already seeing, like I said, there would be big attacks on very popular people. Putin is about as big as you can get for an assassination attempt. And there's been several, but this one's really noticeable. I mean, they actually hit his house. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Now, what happens when you take out Putin? Well, when you take out Putin, you're going to see like fucking tit for tat. The Venezuelans, I believe, they're going to kill a lot of American politicians. Be spy vs spy stuff. But that they're going to fight back one way or the other. You're going to see Venezuelan sabotage in the States. Watch for shit blowing up, like we saw in 2019. All these industrial accidents. You see an uptick in industrial accidents. Now, a lot of that has to do with like third world labor, unskilled labor taking over everybody's jobs. You see it with the trucker industry in Canada, where you got all these guys from India and Pakistan and whatever driving around with no license, driving these trucks in the middle of January, the middle of the winter, just sliding into everybody and killing everybody. The police don't crack down on it. The provincial, traffic, Department of Transportation doesn't crack down on it. Why? Because, corporations got to make money. Oh, we got to get the cost lower. We got to be competitive. And again, that's why capitalism kills itself, right? Is that you have to fucking turn yourselves into shit, and extreme shit human beings to make a buck. You know what I mean? Like, is that really what life's all about? You know what I mean? Oh wow, I've been going on quite long on this one. Okay, but there's so much to cover, right? There's so much to cover. So I'm sure next week it will be the new year. So happy New Year to everybody. Stuff like that. Don't die. That's the number of my New Year's resolution is don't die. Like sorry guys, but that's really that's my New Year's resolution. Just don't die. Don't get taken out by this. I'm sure I'm going to get killed in the crossfire of some stupid geopolitical war where is it going to be two like lefties killing each other and you get killed in the center, or the Black Lives Matter mob against the far right mob, and you just happen to walk out in the street when they both fucking charge each other with knives and stuff. I don't know. I don't know what's going to get you. But you're going to get a democracy J-Dam on your head. Are you going to die in a prison because of hate speech? Like, what's it going to be? Like these are all possibilities, extreme high possibilities for people in 2026. You could die for criticizing Israel. I forget what state it is there, but if you do hate speech against like particular Israel, you're going to spend 5 years in prison. Like which judge is going along with this? You know what I mean? Like judges that are upholding all this. Again, that's why I say there's going to be so much backlash against these people. To me, I'm at the point. Well, just practice survival. Don't get caught up in the madness of it. Like if there's protests, don't go to them. Don't go to them. Protest from a point of view of safety. Like if you can do like the banner drops and stuff like that and get away with it and do it legally, okay, fine. But don't hang around for the left to come and find you. You know what I mean? Like don't announce. Like you got to do hit and run tactics on that kind of stuff. You can't give the left a chance to organize against you. Don't do mass open protests if you are going to protest. We're going to draw like 10,000 people because half of them are going to be fucking state actors. You know what I mean? To infiltrate and make you look bad. You learn your fucking lesson from January 6th already. You know what I mean? Like the trucker convoy, it worked because its origins are still not clear to me who actually really got this going. Like you can go with the people that claim they got it going, but it really was, they weren't able to subvert it because what they were trying to do is get people to attack Parliament Hill, like the same way. January 6th, because that works for the media, it works for the left, it works for the globalists, it works for everybody else. But they didn't do that. They just sat there honking their horns, right? Which they shouldn't have honked their horns because they had people on their side until they started doing that. So, yeah, that was a fairly organic movement. And you will see organic movements from time to time that don't get subverted by, like the CIA or CSIS or, MI5, MI6, whatever. In their countries, or the Mossad. Some stuff is not subvertible because you can't switch the message enough. They tried that with Ben Shapiro. They tried it with what you call him, got shot in Charlie Kirk. They tried to get Jordan Peterson to keep people on the reserve that support Israel but be an individualist. Don't support your country. Don't support nationalism. Don't demand they go back or whatever. Like all the legals go back, just be a good conservative, clean your room, whatever, but individualism first, because if you're not an individualist, you're a collectivist, it makes you communist, and it's like, no, people are like, no, these people are killing my people. I'm sticking with my people. These people that are coming in are taking resources out of my senior care, my health care, my possible retirement, you name it. Again, there is no benefit to bringing in more people into Canada, the United States, or anywhere in the West. There's no more benefit to that. The only people that are benefiting is the corporations getting the cheap labor. That's it. Even the left, the anti-white left, is not benefiting because they're getting killed too by all these crazy migrants, right? So that's what's going on. That is what it is. You can call me racist, bigot. I don't care. It just, just don't get caught up in the chaos of it all, because if it does, it can kill you. Like, again, my New Year's resolution for 2026 is don't die. Like, it's just, like, don't get killed by, some progressive lawfare lefty. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, some judge is going to throw you in jail for hate speech, and they're going to make sure you land in the most dangerous part of the prison, so that you get murdered. Like that's how they're going to kill a lot of people, is in the gulag. That's how they've always done it, right? Don't starve to death because stupid idiots like Trump is attack your food supply. Again, it's not a left-right paradigm anymore. This is kill or be killed. This is survival of the fittest. More survival of the smartest, and survival of the most basically creative. People can, create a way to live around the chaos, because it is getting harder, especially for those of you in the city. But anyway, there we go. Happy New Year. And yeah, we'll leave it at that.